Hey guys, what's going on? This week I figured I would make another video about how to find cheap flights or how to save money on flights. I made a video about this a while ago, but I figured it's time for an updated video as there are some things I didn't mention in that video that I can now mention. So let's get into it. I'm currently on my MacBook, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did make a video around the subject. There's this video right here, how to fly cheaper. I made it 8 months ago, and the information in the video is still accurate. But there's a few things I didn't mention that I wish I had mentioned, mostly because I didn't know about the things I'm about to mention to you. So let's go ahead and close this and go to Google Flights. So as you can see here, we're on Google Flights. And so I have just a basic flight here, Chicago to London, and the date is just this. The date doesn't really, the date can matter, and I'll talk about that later, but right now the date doesn't really matter. It's just, just because you have to pick a date. So you can see here, let's go ahead and go set it to one way. So you see here, Chicago to London. Looks like this is going to be the cheapest flight, $264. Yeah, it looks like that. Looks like this one would be the cheapest flight. Now, one thing I didn't mention in my other video is that there's this great option here. So you have round trip, one way, or multi-city. So if you're looking into going to multiple places, instead of buying one-way tickets, or even if you're going to, say you want to go to London, say you want to fly from Chicago to London, and then from London you're going to go to maybe a place or two, and then you go back to London and fly back to Chicago. I would still recommend this multi-city trip instead of the round trip. So look what happens when I click on the round trip. See how much that price jumps up. Jumps up to $626. Looks to be the cheapest, and these are just insane. This might be for first class though. I don't know. But anyway, $626 looks like it is the cheapest. Now, if we go to multi-city, let's go ahead and add. You can add up to 5 total. Now, right now it looks expensive, but I haven't changed it up any. So we'll keep this one how it is. This is the basic one, Chicago to London. Now let's say for the next one, we'll fly from London to Berlin. Let's go ahead and select that. Now look at the price now. Now it's $1,300, and we haven't even changed the rest of this. So now that's our second flight booked. Third flight, let's fly from Berlin to, I don't know, maybe Warsaw. Okay, so the price stayed relatively the same. Now for the fourth flight, let's fly to Ireland. Well, let's see, which one is it? Looks like it'd be this one here. Yes, now look how much that just changed right there. It went from $1,300 to $644, and that's for the entire trip. And then, of course, we're still not done yet. Let's say for the last one, you will fly from Dublin to Paris. Okay, there you go, $652. So for the original that we were on with the round trip from Chicago to London and then London to Chicago, it was, what was it, $600 and something dollars? Whereas this option, with the multi-city option, you can get 5 flights for basically the same price of 2. So you're essentially getting Berlin, you're essentially getting from here all the way to here for free, because they're costing relatively the same price as of 2 flights on the round trip option. So this is one of the options that I discovered, and I'm glad I discovered, because this is definitely the option I'm using for my trip, because as you can see, that is, so, oops, I did not mean to do that. But as you can see, this is the much better option. I'm not sure what happened to that other one. Maybe it was, oh well, I don't know what happened to the other one. But anyway, this is clearly the much better option. I mean, even if it was $939, that's still a good deal for 5 flights. I mean, that basically breaks down to $200 a flight, which is pretty cheap. I mean, of course, for some of these, that wouldn't be cheap. But I mean, Chicago to London, $200 average, that is dirt cheap. I mean, that's basically unheard of. So, yeah, that's mainly the one thing I wanted to show you guys. So, hopefully you guys found this helpful, and I will see you guys in the outro. Alright guys, so before I say the outro, I did mention in that screen recording that sometimes the date does matter. And it doesn't necessarily matter the date specifically. It doesn't matter if you're leaving on like the 20th or the 30th or the 2nd. That doesn't really matter, but the day of the week sometimes can matter. So typically flights are going to be more expensive on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And the reason for that is because that's when business travelers often leave or return. So a lot of times they like to leave on Mondays, hence the airlines make the prices more expensive. And a lot of times they prefer to return on either Thursdays or Fridays, which is also why they're more expensive. So the best times to leave would either be Tuesday or Wednesday or Saturday and Sunday. Now this doesn't always matter, but sometimes you will see a difference, especially on high traffic routes like New York to London or Los Angeles to New York, London to Dubai. You know, any big route, you'll sometimes see this happen. So that's just one tip, but it doesn't always happen. And you know, like I said, if you do it on a Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll be fine. Saturdays and Sundays sometimes more expensive, but not usually. Usually they're around the same price. So that's my last tip. So hopefully this video is helpful, and I will see you guys next week.